In this dystopian future, the world is bleak and lifeless. The story begins with two mysterious figures walking across a barren landscape. Meanwhile, convict number 22790, or Adam, awakens, strapped in a room filled with strange machinery. Confused, Adam looks around, trying to understand where he is. He struggles against the restraints until they automatically release, freeing him from the machine. Hello, Nacho here. Welcome back to my channel. Adam collapses to the floor, gasping. He notices his metallic body and tears away the fabric covering his mechanical arms. Crawling on the ground, Adam catches his reflection in the floor. Seeing his face for the first time, he is horrified. He tries to tear off the faceplate, pulling and hitting it, but it won't come off. In panic, he slams his head against the ground, cracking the faceplate slightly. Despite his efforts, it stays on. Suddenly, a loud alarm sounds, warning that the door is about to open. With no other option, Adam scrambles to his feet, makes his way down the hallway, drawn by the bright light outside. Stepping out, he sees many others like himself, robots with orange and blue markings on their bodies. Each robot has a screen on their chest displaying their convict number and name. All of them march in a straight line toward an unknown destination, watched closely by human guards armed with guns and dressed in protective gear. As they move forward, one robot stumbles and falls. Another robot tries to help, but the guards shout at them to keep moving. One guard, frustrated, starts shooting at the ground near the robots as a warning. Some robots crouch down, trying to avoid the gunfire, but one of them gets hit. A second guard quickly steps in and stops the man from shooting any further. He points toward two approaching figures in the distance. Spotting the two silhouettes, the guards quickly retreat back inside their base. The platform they were standing on folds up and rises back into the tower, leaving the robots alone to face the mysterious strangers who are now drawing closer. As the two figures get closer, it's clear that they tower over the other robots, moving on long pole-like legs. To appear less intimidating, they lower themselves by retracting their pole legs, coming down to the same height as the other robots. Upon closer inspection, it becomes apparent that these figures are also robots. One resembles a samurai, and the larger one, Needleless, has the look of a shaman. Needleless plants his pole firmly on the ground and raises his hand toward the robot convicts. Moments later, the screens on the convicts' chests begin to glitch. One by one, the screens turn off, erasing the convict numbers from their chests. After freeing the robots, Needleless and the samurai-like robot start to walk away. As they leave, a nearby robot brushes past Adam, deciding to follow the two mysterious figures. More robots join in, seeking freedom, and after a moment's hesitation and a glance back, Adam follows along with the crowd. Together, the robots cross a burning wasteland. Despite their mechanical bodies, the harsh conditions take a toll on them. One robot, slightly burnt and damaged, has an eye socket hanging loosely from its face. It struggles to keep up, sparks flying as electric currents run through its malfunctioning body, showing the strain of the journey. The damaged robot gasps, making sounds like it's in pain, before collapsing to the ground. Watching his fellow robot fall and struggle, Adam decides to go back and help. As Adam reaches out to lift the fallen robot, Needleless notices and starts heading back toward them. Most of the other robots keep marching forward, paying no attention to their fallen companion. Adam grabs the robot's hand and tries his best to pull it up, but it's no use. The robot is too damaged to stand. Needleless arrives and examines the situation, quickly realizing that the fallen robot has reached the end of its journey. It's too broken to go on. Without saying anything, Needleless turns and walks away, leaving Adam with no other choice but to move on as well. Eventually, the group arrives at a hidden facility. As they approach the entrance, the robots guarding the doors salute Needleless before opening the doors wide, revealing a brightly lit entryway. The robots all enter as a voice on the speakers begins to blare an alert in Mandarin, instructing them to stand, wait for decontamination, then move forward. Once inside the dark facility, the robots gather in small groups around different flares of light, creating a strange but almost comforting atmosphere. As they settle down, Needleless starts to speak, explaining the truth of who they are. He reveals that all of them once lived within a walled city under the control of the consortium. Their human bodies were taken away, and only their consciousness was transferred into the robotic shells they now occupy. Needleless further explains that none of them remember their past lives, nor anything about their human existence, because the consortium wiped their memories completely. Needleless continues by explaining that each felony conviction saves the lives of 10 citizens. However, the consortium views the convicts' minds as tainted, making them worthless in the consortium's eyes. Even with all this knowledge, Needless admits that none of them truly know why they're being kept alive, or for what purpose. It's simply been this way for generations, with no clear explanation. Needless goes on to say that when the robots were freed from their previous confinements, he was the one who unlocked them, which is why their screens malfunction. If he hadn't intervened, they would have kept wandering aimlessly until their robot bodies ran out of power, and their brains would eventually suffocate. Needless emphasizes that he chose to save them, because he will always choose life over death. For those still caught up in the illusions of their past lives, Needless directs their attention to someone who can help them, the mirror, who is watching them from behind a window in another room. Hearing this, a few robots ask who or what the mirror is. Needless explains that she has the unique ability to read the traces left in their minds, revealing their past, their histories, and the crimes that led them here. The robots stand up, eager to learn about themselves. As the mirror enters the room, she walks directly to Adam, and he gets a clear look at her. Underneath her black cloak, the mirror is also a robot, but she has a more human-like appearance compared to the others. However, her face is unsettling. Her eyes are missing, leaving empty spaces where they should be. Instead of eyes, the mirror has a strange, shifting skin where her eyes should be. She raises her hands toward Adam, and as she does, she begins to read his consortium criminal code. She reveals that Adam's felony is treason, and that he is also guilty of terrorism for attacking the Tacoma walled city. Hearing this, Needless takes notice. His interest piqued. He walks over to Adam, studying him closely. Adam, however, remains silent, neither denying nor confirming the accusations, as Needless observes him with a curious gaze. Meanwhile, in a distant, dried-out land, there is a walled habitat maintained by a small group of survivors. Outside these walls lies an unexpected sight, a patch of vibrant greenery, thriving amidst the barren landscape. Here, humans in their original bodies tend to the agriculture, while robots are seen tied to crucifixes with banners of the tribe hanging above them. The tribe is led by a priest who stands at the forefront, flanked by two guards. He approaches a figure who bows before him, a woman dressed in full protective gear, including a mask that provides her with oxygen. The priest tells the woman, Marion, to lift her head, and she briefly squints against the bright sunlight. The priest reassures her that she has made the right choice in seeking refuge and aid from his tribe, promising her safety and support as she joins our community. The priest asks for her name, and she introduces herself as Marion, a frail, lone woman with a face covered in bruises. Recognizing her name, the priest reveals that he had been expecting her, as word of Marion seeking asylum had reached him some time ago. He explains that he leads a network of helpers, a brotherhood that is turned away from the ways of ordinary men. Many who seek a better life often flee to his tribe, and he assumes that it was his brotherhood who assisted her on her journey. Marion nods, confirming his assumption. Looking around in awe, Marion marvels at the sight of people living without masks, amazed by the priest's devout followers who seem to be protected from the harsh environment. As the priest helps her to her feet, he gently asks what happened to her. Marion recounts her story. Her tenement had suffered a ventilation failure, causing many, including herself, to fall ill. Her only brother Jacob was arrested for stealing medication in a desperate attempt to help them. As punishment, Jacob was expelled by the consortium. Marion's condition worsened after that, and even now, despite the oxygen mask she wears, she can't stop coughing. The priest listens intently and responds by saying that the consortium only offers cures that come with more poison. The priest continues, explaining that the technology their grandfathers once used is what destroyed the earth, yet the consortium still worships it, like a false god. As he shows Marion around their sanctuary, he points out how they've escaped the clutches of terrible machinery and found a pure way of life. In their tribe, they've perfected the ancient ways, living without the influence of technology. The people in his tribe not only reject technology, but also despise it, believing that it is the root of all their problems. Marion admits that she sought out the priest in his community because she had heard people speak of him, especially about the miracles he is said to perform. Hearing her words, the priest picks up a large rock and holds it out to her. He urges Marion to cast away the technology of the consortium and to renounce the ways of the society she has left behind. As he leads her toward a bound robot, he asks Marion to make a vow. He wants her to swear that when the time comes, she will destroy the consortium's machines and fight for the cause of purity. The priest tries to convince Marion that it is better to end the lives of those enslaved to machines, people whose consciousness has been transferred into robot bodies, rather than allow them to continue living in such a state of suffering. He tells her that to save them is to end end their torment. He then asks Marion to swear her loyalty to him, to believe in everything he tells her, and to commit to his cause fully, promising her that only through this path will she find true salvation. After hearing the priest's demands, Marion grabs his arm and kneels, vowing her complete devotion and belief in him. The priest, however, does not look at her and tries to shake her off, but Marion stands and clings to him persistently. The priest then tells Marion that true faith must be shown through actions, not just empty words. Suddenly, a faint, glitchy voice calls out Marion's name. Marion turns to see the bound robot, stunned and speechless. The priest confirms her worst fear. The robot is her brother, Jacob. The consortium, in their punishment for his crimes, has transferred Jacob's consciousness into the robot's body. Struggling with his damaged voice synthesizer, Jacob's words are broken and distorted, barely recognizable. Marion stares at him, overwhelmed by sorrow, as she grasps the reality of his fate. The priest directs Marion to look closely at her brother, emphasizing how the consortium has reshaped him into a monstrous form, what he calls the very image of the devil, after they took his human body. The priest then gently hands Marion the large rock, telling her that the only way to end Jacob's suffering is to destroy him. Marion hesitates for a brief moment, gripping the rock with shaky hands, tears welling in her eyes. She takes a deep breath and staggers forward, her steps unsteady but determined, moving closer to Jacob as she prepares to do what the priest has asked. Desperation takes over Marion's hesitation, and she lifts the rock, slamming it down onto her brother's robot head. She keeps hitting him, blow after blow, even as Jacob begs her to stop. Marion doesn't stop until she lands the final hit, completely breaking Jacob's robot body and ending his life. She falls to the ground, crying over her brother's death. After Marion fulfills her promise, the priest lifts her face to look at him and removes her mask. He calls himself the purifier of blood and body, and as he touches her, Marion's bruises begin to fade away. Marion cries, torn between happiness at being healed and sadness for her brother. The priest tells her she's safe now and should find peace in their sanctuary. The priest then walks away, heading down a dark tunnel by himself. He reaches a door and opens it, revealing a room full of technology. As he walks in, his clothes start to fall away, along with his skin. Piece by piece, his human appearance is peeled off, showing his true form as a robot. He approaches a large machine at the center of the room and looks up at it, filled with worship and reverence for the very technology he claims to reject. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye. Thanks for watching Nacho's Movie Recaps. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit the bell for updates. Share your thoughts or requests in the comments below. See you next time.